Welcome back to the Lightspeed Social Agency YouTube channel. I'm your host, as always, Cody Owen, and I want to talk to you today about what we view as graduation here at Lightspeed. So our goal is to take business owners who are at the $100,000 mark to a few $100,000 mark and get them all the way up to that next comma and hit $1 million in top line revenue. And what I want to talk to you today about is the mindset changes, the big overarching strategies that you have to adopt to hit that $1 million mark. So let's dive in, let's look at these strategies and see how you can integrate them into the business you're building right now. Last week we talked about getting to 100K, which is a huge milestone to hit and it's very difficult to hit. But the strategies that get you to 100K and 200K aren't going to be the ones that get you all the way to the million. So if you haven't watched last week and you're still trying to get to that $100,000 threshold, go back and watch that. Listen to the podcast from last week with Robert and I. But let's dive into hitting that $1 million in top line revenue. Let's go. My team at Lightspeed has been working with lawn care and landscaping companies we have over a dozen years of experience combined now, probably a little over 15 actually. So we have been in the trenches for a long time, helping people grow lawn care businesses. I know that a lot of you know me from when I used to work with the Lawn Care Millionaire channel. What we want to show you is the things that we have seen. I've watched people grow $1 million lawn care businesses, and I've gotten to talk to them throughout that whole journey. In particular, Jacob Godar, my friend out of Springfield, Illinois. I have known him for, 6-7 years at this point. As long as I've been married, basically. I've gotten to watch scooters grow over time. And so I want to talk to you about these mindsets that I see in the guys that make it and sort of the things they leave behind from when the business was smaller. That is, holding on to these things can be why people don't make it to $1 million. So mindset number one, you have to get out of the field. You have to get off the truck, out of the crew, so that you are working on the business rather than in the business. And so this is super difficult. And when there's a million fires going off in the spring, it is so hard to keep your commitment to doing that. But let me tell you, it is the only way that you're going to continue to scale the business. If you have to touch every moving part of the machine can only be so big. You can only run so far in a day. You can only hit your 30,000 steps so many times before you burn out, right? So the guys that hit $1 million in top line revenue absolutely understand this. They make it a goal to get themselves off the truck and into the office or into the spare bedroom, whatever that looks like for you for your office space, so that they can work on the business and build out the customer facing processes that help you, look bigger and more professional and make sure that you're following up on every quote, getting back to every lead, all of those things, answering the phone when people call you with a problem so that they can feel heard immediately, not in 6 hours. All of those things go into making a better experience for your customers. And also they go into making a better experience for the people that work in the business, right? When somebody has a problem with, let's say you have 2 crews and you're running one of them and the other has a problem where, their lawnmower engine had an oil leak they didn't see and the engine has gone kaput and they need to get in touch with someone, but they can't get you on the phone because you're pushing a mower and you ignored the call. It makes it easier for employees to get in touch with support in the office if there's someone who's actually there. That is part of what you need to build into your business. That is why you have to get off the truck. And so you have to make that commitment that I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out a way to do this. And then what are the steps you can take toward that goal? And I cited this book a few weeks ago, but Mike Michalowicz's, I believe it's called Clockwork. There will be a link in the description to it on Amazon. But he encourages you to just set a goal of removing yourself from the business and all the fires. And it starts at 5 minutes a day. You just get to the office and you don't get out of the truck, right? You get to the shop, you don't get out of the truck for 5 minutes, you respond to emails. Something that is not going to get done if you get out and start your day. And then you just expand that over time until eventually you've completely removed yourself from the truck. So what I would challenge you to do is look for a day as the spring is coming up what day can you trust somebody else to run the truck? Maybe it's not Monday, like everybody is going to be dragging in from the weekend, and you want to try Tuesday. You want to try pushing someone up as a crew leader and getting them to run the crew for the day so that you have a day to work on the business. Whatever that looks like, whatever things need to get done that don't get done when you're out all day on the truck. So start to look for those baby steps toward getting yourself off the truck so that you can work on the business, not in the business. And then mindset number 2, and I know if you listen to the Green Industry podcast, you watch Jason Creel's YouTube channel, you know that this is key, right? You have to go from kind of flying by the seat of your pants to knowing your numbers. We talk about this so much. We worked with Paul Jameson this past Black Friday, looking over his Know Your Numbers course that's super valuable. You have to figure out which jobs are profitable, which jobs are not, which employees are pulling their weight, which employees are not. So all of these things factor into knowing your numbers, because there are 2 paths to get to $1 million in top line revenue. There's 2 levers that you have to pull. And if you're not pulling both of them, you're going to really, really struggle to get there. The first is getting more customers overall, increasing your overall client base. And the second thing is getting more lifetime value from your existing customers, right? You have to build out these processes that bring new people into the funnel and drop people from the bottom of one funnel in the business into another, right? So we've talked before about, your handful of core services that, maintenance is probably what gets people in the door, but then you want to be selling weed control and fertilization, fall cleanups, core aeration, whatever makes sense in your market, whatever makes sense for you as the business owner, since you'll be, for at least a while toward that $1 million march, you will be training people in how to do it. So it needs to be things you know how to do. But we want to be able to increase our customer lifetime value by selling some additional services that will also improve their enjoyment of their lawn, right? So if we are their maintenance company and we mow the lawn every week, we edge and it looks pristine, but it's not getting fertilized correctly. There's not weed control happening. And so before you get there the next week to mow, some dandelions have popped up. There's some unhealthy patches of brown where the soil's compacted. When we are then able to sell someone core aeration, a weed and fert package, then their lawn looks green and lush and we're maintaining it. So then it's helping the maintenance look better, and it increases stickiness when you have multiple quality services that are all working toward the same end, your customer having a beautiful outdoor space at their home. The next part of knowing your numbers is that getting to $1 million in top line revenue is absolutely a numbers game, right? Our goal is a number, and so we're going to need a lot of other numbers to get us there. The big things here are going to be looking at your routes. Are they efficient? And so hopefully you can, whatever CRM you're using, you can look at your clients on a map. Maybe you can look at the jobs on a map so that you can see our Monday route. What is the order here? Where are we going? Are we zigzagging across? Hopefully some of that is a little intuitive when you're doing it, that we're driving too far for this. This should be in another route. This should be in a different spot in this route. If your CRM can't present that to you, what I would really, really, really recommend you do is learn how to make a custom Google map. It is super duper easy. You just go into maps.google.com, but then it's just dropping your points. You'll be able to type in the address, add a new point, and look at the route and see, does it make sense? And you can do layers. So you can have your Monday route, your Tuesday route, your Wednesday route, and then have them different colors. And then you can see oh man, this lawn that we're mowing on Wednesday would really make a lot more sense in the Monday route because it's sort of at the edge of the Wednesday route, but it's really close to the Monday route. We could just slot that in at the end and come back to the shop, and it'll save us, 8 minutes of drive time. And 8 minutes of drive time across a 3-man crew is 24 minutes. It's almost half an hour of labor cost that we're saving by just figuring out that our route could be more efficient. You have to look at that. Are your routes efficient? Are you getting them denser, right? So we want to focus our advertising dollars on places that will make every job on the route more profitable. This is how this kind of mindset works, is that it's when we're improving one thing, it's making everything work better. So when we add a job to our Monday route that is nestled perfectly in, along the route, it's filling in a blank on the route, we're making every job on that route more profitable because we've added another profitable job on the route. So it's important to think about things that way. Think about things in terms of systems. Kind of wrap your brain around, this isn't just selling lawn care, it's selling lawn care in specific places to fill the needs of the business. This is the kind of thinking that takes you from hitting your 100K, 250K mark to getting all the way to $1 million. You're not, kind of taking every job that comes your way. You're taking the jobs that make sense to grow the business in the way that will serve the business best. Another part of this is making sure your prices are right, making sure that you are tracking people's time on the job so that you know your cost, your overhead cost as far as maintaining equipment and all that. We have a whole pricing video that goes into that we'll link up here. But the important thing is to know which jobs are profitable. Are your prices high enough that you're turning the kind of profit margin that you want? And then are you positioning yourself as the premium option in your market? Which doesn't necessarily mean that you're the absolute most expensive, because a lot of times what people will do is they'll go from the most expensive quote to the second most expensive. So we want to make sure that we are charging a rate that the market will support. But if every single person that calls you, if you have a close rate of 80, probably 60+%, something's wrong with your pricing. You're charging too little and people are very eager to take advantage of you. Get your close rate more in a healthy range of 30% and charge more. 30% is honestly I'd be pretty happy about that, but I would consider raising my prices a little bit. Get where you are having people tell you no. That means that you are no longer the cheapest option, but make sure that your quality is there to match that price that you're setting. You have to provide a premium service to be able to demand a premium price. But that's absolutely where I want you to be, and it's where you're going to need to be if you want to hit $1 million in top line revenue. So the final aspect of knowing your numbers that I need you to implement to get to $1 million in top line revenue is setting goals and making them attainable goals, right? If you're at, $170,000 closing out 2022 here, it is not entirely reasonable to say, I want to hit $1 million in 2023. That might be kind of a crazy growth goal. That kind of growth is, probably going to break some things along the way. We want steady progress toward that goal, and maybe that goal is 4 or 5 years down the road for the business. But what you need to do is build in the steps to get there. And an important thing, a reality check for you when you're setting a big goal like that, is to look at, what did I spend on marketing last year and how much did I get from it? Let's say that you hit 120 this year. You added $20,000 in business. That means that you spent 2% for a 20% gain. So what you need to look at is, if I want to grow the business to, I'm getting way too deep into the weeds of the math here. The big thing is that you need to expect to spend a consistent amount to get a consistent amount of growth out. If you increase your marketing budget, that was $2,000 that we spent last year. If we want to add $100,000 in business, we probably need to multiply that by about 5, right? And spend about $10,000 on advertising. You can't put the same input into the machine and expect different results out. You can't expect to spend $2,000 on marketing and get $100,000 of results this year, when last year that only got you $20,000 of results. So this is maybe a little scatterbrained here, but I find that this is a thing that I talk to business owners about a lot, where we kind of set unrealistic goals, and I do this as a business owner as well, but then I haven't built in, okay, but how are we going to get there? So you got to make sure you got gas in the tank, and that's marketing dollars, that's working with a quality marketing partner, an agency to help you run ads, or that you're doing them quality yourself. Whatever that looks like, you got to have gas in the tank to get where you want to go. Maybe in college, I would have been a little more unwise and jumped in the car and headed out on a road trip without checking my oil and making sure I had gas in the tank. But I want better for you than what college Cody would have done to his car. I blew up a couple cars in college, so. Before we move on to the third and final mindset shift, would you make sure and like and subscribe this video? It helps us grow the channel. It helps more people get this kind of content that's hopefully improving their lives, improving the lives of their employees and their families. So thank you so much. If you're already subscribed, make sure to click the bell for notifications so you don't miss one of our weekly videos. Mindset number 3 is building automatic systems into your business. Now this is where we go from, so remember earlier I was saying that you needed to get out of the truck so you could work on the business instead of in the business. Defining automatic systems is where you go to working on the business, right? This is the work I want you to be doing. I don't want you to be reinventing the wheel every day and just creating a bunch of like office work drudgery for yourself. I want you to be automating email campaigns. I want you to be setting up your Facebook ad audiences so that they're locked and loaded for the spring selling season. Building in these automatic systems, we want to build them so that they're scalable, and normally they are, so that as the business grows, the systems continue to work. We're not having to constantly rewrite systems so that they break because we could only send 50 emails a day and now we need to send 600 emails a day. We recommend that you use MailChimp for that kind of thing so that you have some like nursing campaigns. As leads come in, you're telling them a little bit about the business. Maybe you've got a company intro video. We have a script for that we can link in the description or up top. So you want to have a stellar hiring system, and you want to always keep new applicants on the bench, because one of the biggest problems in the lawn care industry is needing to get new employees in as you sell the work. You can hire somebody like Lightspeed to do your marketing. We're reliable. We deliver results. But if you don't have a good system for hiring, as we get you customers in, quality is going to start to dip as guys are pushed to do more and more. You're going to end up hiring people who aren't great hires because you just need a warm body to push a mower. What a good process looks like there is having a marketing mindset, selling your business to employees, right? Why should they work here? What things do you, and we talk about this in many other videos about how to hire, but you want to be running ads for that all the time. The best time to pick up new applicants and new employees is when the other companies in the other green industry companies in your market are laying people off. So if you've built out a year-round calendar of work, that puts you head and shoulders above the smaller guys, the guys who are still struggling to get to 100K. So if you're able to continue bringing people on, you are paying a little bit more is going to get you a competitive edge. Taking better care of your guys, making it where your employees know that you care about them, that when there's a problem, they come to you, when there's a problem in the business, right? So we want to make sure that we foster open lines of communication, all of the good stuff that's culture-wise, what keeps people around, right? What keeps people from hating coming into the office. So watch one of our other hiring videos that will help you, kind of define that process, what it looks like for your business. But absolutely, like having a system for hiring, keeping applicants on file so that, man, it just wasn't the right time right now. We already hired 2 guys. This guy is great, but we already hired 2 guys. Let's give him a call next time we need someone, right? Build out that bench. Then who deals with the clients? So for most businesses, this is the business owner, right? When someone calls the business, it rings your cell phone number and you talk to the customer, you're responding to emails, you're sending out quotes. One of the big things that you can do to get that off your plate, because as you scale the business and you're spending more on marketing and you're getting more quotes that need to go out, and then you have more customers, and so then there's going to be more problems just by nature of doing more jobs. There's going to be a sprinkler head that gets hit, XYZ happens, and we need to take care of it. Customers are going to need to call in. So you're doing more upselling. Someone needs to be doing that. Eventually, you're going to hit a point where you need to hire a virtual assistant or someone in the office, hiring your first office manager, office assistant. Pros and cons on both there. With a virtual assistant, you're getting kind of always on. They have the employees. They can scale to meet demand, but you'll have someone usually assigned to you, especially if you're working with somebody good like CallBoss. You're going to end up with someone who knows how to use the software for your business, can hopefully send out quotes, especially if, a lot of the lawns in your area are the same size kind of by subdivision. You have kind of a standardized quote process there, which if you haven't built that out, good thing to build out because it helps you then feed into other systems in the business. You can have them send it out. They can take calls, but a lot of times where a VA is going to end up stuck is that you're still going to need to respond. So they're filtering stuff for you, and that's really, really good and helpful, especially because you're not taking on a lot of risk with a whole other employee. But they're going to end up having to get you on the phone, having you call people back, forwarding emails to you. So that is like one of the drawbacks there is just that they're not an employee in the business. They can't quite be as empowered as if you have an office manager who's doing everything. Big benefit of hiring an office manager is this is someone in the business. You can get to know them and know what like level of judgment you should let them have and kind of let them handle things. They can call the crew and say, hey, I need you to go out and replace this sprinkler head that got broken. Or they can call your irrigation contractor if you refer that out. All of that sort of like fire that comes up in the middle of the day, hopefully they can resolve it without having to call you. And that is super duper helpful. So you want to build out those office processes and then hand them off to someone else. And the final point here is that you have to build out robust marketing processes. To build your marketing calendar for the year, you need to know, all right, the optimal time to perform spring cleanups is these weeks. Then we need to build in a buffer to start marketing it like 2 to 3 weeks ahead of that. And we need to know like what the sales call should look like for that, what the emails should look like for that. So if you build out that calendar for the whole year, you can build all of your campaigns based on it. And then you're not flying by the seat of your pants when it's time to sell. Build out that process. And that's something that if you're working with an agency like Lightspeed, it's a process we're going to need to build out because we need to know when to sell things and what you sell. Super helpful to have that calendar of all your services and to know when you need to sell them. You can write things in advance then because you know like, okay, we need these email campaigns. We need to run these Facebook ads. You can get everything rolling long before it like needs to happen. A big part of knowing your numbers is optimizing your marketing dollars, looking at your leads by sources, your clients by sources, so you know like AdWords treats us really well. We get a lot of return on our investment there. Facebook treats us really well. Yelp kind of sucks. Angie's List doesn't deliver the volume that we need, so it's not really worth scaling. All of that sort of thing is going to inform how you spend money next year. So it's important to be kind of keeping track of that. I keep saying like if you're working with Lightspeed, but it's because we've built out these processes for businesses. We run an ROI dashboard for every ad dollar we spend for a customer that they can go in and see. It gets updated every 2 weeks to show them like, hey, this is what you're paying us. This is what you're paying Facebook. This is what you're paying Google. And these are the results we're getting, especially if you have a really robust CRM that we're able to tag people on the way in so that we know where they came from. And then we're able to tell you like, hey, this is what you've quoted out to those people. These are the quotes you've won. This is your ROI. Super important to build these things out because they let you know and make decisions not based on your gut feeling, which is how a lot of people will enter the business and get to $100,000 in top line revenue. But to get to $1 million, we have to build actual systems and make decisions based on what the numbers are telling us, as long as the numbers are good. So thank you so much for watching this video. I know that it was quite a bit longer than we normally do. Boy, I have been talking for almost 30 minutes here. I'm running out of voice to give you. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Send this video to somebody else in the industry if it was helpful to you and you think that it would be helpful to them. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to our podcast. Robert and I will be talking about this. It'll be already live by the time you're watching this video. That is the Lightspeed Lawn Care Marketing Podcast, available wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.